Today's reading on a Friday, Genesis 44, Mark 14, Job 10, and Romans 14. And as a reminder, keep reading Saturday and Sunday. Gather with other believers. If you're in Port Angeles, we'd love to see you at Calvary Chapel. If you're somewhere else, make sure you get plugged in. Somewhere where you can get fed, somewhere you can serve, and somewhere where you feel confident that you could give. Right? That's all part of it. You're giving of your tithes and offerings, you're giving of yourself and the gifts that God's given you, and in that there'll be great blessings for you and blessings for others as you receive the teaching, as you receive worship, as you participate in worship. You don't receive worship, as you receive other people using their gifts. And then you use your gifts, and it's how the body of Christ is supposed to work. So don't forsake the assembling together. Hope to see you, Calvary Chapel, Sunday, 8:30 or 10:30. Check us out, 120 West 8th Street in Port Angeles. So today we're going to be in Romans chapter 14. It says, "As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains. Let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God has welcomed him. Who are you to pass judgment? I'm the servant of another. It is before his own master that he stands or falls, and he will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make him stand." And then he goes on to talk about the different days and observing the different days. Verse 8. "For if we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's." Verse 10. "Why do you pass judgment on your brother? Why do you despise your brother? We're all going to stand before God." So the first half of this chapter is Paul continuing this idea of community in the body of Christ and how we interact with one another. And we need to really go back a couple days to chapter 12 and to that love one another. Outdo each other in good works and good deeds, right? And genuine love for one another. Why? So that when you come to situations and areas of conflict in life, pertaining to, especially here as he denotes it, areas of faith that are maybe more on the gray scale, if you will, and certain people feel, I'm supposed to worship on this day. I'm not supposed to eat that food, or I can dress this way, but you don't think they should. I can listen to this music. No, you should not. Like some of these things are in that gray zone. And what does he say? Go after them. Change their mind. Argue with them. No. Welcome, not to quarrel over opinions. There's a lot of different theologies out there, a lot of beliefs about salvation, about the end times, about the church, and about who should be in leadership, like all kinds of different things that we could quarrel and argue about. At the end of the day, we're not to judge one another for these things. So how are you in Jesus? Now, if the thing that they're believing is causing them to not grow, is causing them pain in their relationship with God, is causing a stumbling block for their own walk, well then, yeah, we got something to talk about. But otherwise, we're each kind of accountable to the Lord for our actions, especially when it comes to some of these gray areas. And don't make such a big deal about them. Love one another. Love one another. And the latter part of the chapter then, he says, "Let us not pass judgment on one another," verse 13, "but rather decide never to put a stumbling block or hindrance in the way of a brother." He's like, I know things are not unclean. I can eat anything. I'm free. But, if someone's grieved by what I eat, we're going to abstain from that. Right? So what does all this mean then? It's not about food and drinking, but if you can help someone in their walk by not partaking and not eating or not drinking in some form or fashion, and then do it. Why? Let us pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. Verse 19. Let us pursue what makes for peace and mutual upbuilding. What if we just kind of kept that as a phrase, that verse, within the body of Christ? Let us pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. Maybe your circle gets bigger because you're not as concerned with some of these things that are going to hold you back from fellowshipping with other believers. And what's that going to do also? It's going to release some tension in your life because you're not trying to focus and police other people. It's not our job. Love one another and watch and see what God does in and through that. Till next time, keep growing little by little.